to be recorded. The Sunset Division, welcome in. And I'm joined by, of course, the lead of the Sunset, Don Cobus himself.
What's up?
And joining us, new this season for Sunset PRs, is Metal, the Cliff Boys. And,
the Cliff Boys.
I know, don't get it twisted, y'all. I won't hold y'all too much longer. Don, take us in as to why Little Rock, the brand new player to the PBO, is 14th.
Okay, so before we get too far into these PRs, I just want to preface all this by saying I think Sunset this season, like as a division, the teams are all like relatively close. There weren't any teams that I think were like super far below anything else or super high above everything else either. And so I just wanted to preface that by anyone seeing their names low in the rankings, just know that all of the teams are like relatively close to each other this season. But with that being said, the Little Rock Diancies, I think, are the bottom team in my opinion, just because the big thing in my opinion is that there's not really a strong round one pick. Garchomp just doesn't cut it as a round one anymore. It's a really solid round two, and like this draft just looks to me like it looks like a team with a regular roster, but then the round one guys just cut off of it. Like it's scaled in that kind of way. The Terra selections are also kind of weird. Like Magnezone doesn't really get a whole lot from Terra. It's interesting with Magnet Pull and like Terra Blast, but a lot of these guys aren't really walled by steals anyways. Like Garchomp beats them, Primarina can get by them, Weavile can get by them, but it doesn't like to. Glimmer can Earth Power them. Like a lot of these teammates just don't really benefit that much from Magnezone support. And then the other two Terra captains, Hisui and Zoroark and Meloetta, are like, they're okay. Hisui and Zoroark is not great with Terra. Meloetta is good with Terra, but like if Meloetta is your standout Terra option, then something has kind of gone wrong. I think the last three are just okay. Superior is good speed control and speed and just snowball potential. But I think Drifblim and Hisui and Goodra are like notably weaker. Like Drifblim is usually relegated to strict terrain team, usually grassy or electric terrain, but there's nothing to really benefit the drift. There's no support for the Drifblim here, so it probably won't really be coming to games outside of maybe a defensive capacity once a season. And assuming Gudra's kind of just okay on this roster, it's nice as a backup steal. Like I think it's a good choice to not have it as your only steal, but at the end of the day, it's a Hisui and Gudra. It's going to be just okay. What do you think, Metal?
This team looks to me like Little Rock just drafted like it was Gen 8, even though it's got some Gen 9 pieces like Horrock and Glimora. It's just that kind of weird, kind of almost static Gen 8 composition, where you've got like a bunch of fat, and then like a really fast guy in Weavile, and like a wing-con in Garchomp. It looks like the idea of the team is to just kind of stall out games a little bit until she can like figure out a Garchomp endgame. But it's not Gen 8 anymore. That's not really going to work. I think much stronger teams are just going to completely run over this roster while it's trying to get situated. I don't think it's particularly bad. It's got a lot of good mons, even if they don't like synergize super well. Like Weavile Garchomp is a tried and true pairing. Primarina is like pairs with them both really well. Glimora obviously pairs with like any setup really, just because of what it does. But like outside of those, the rest of the roster is just kind of very, very lacking. It doesn't really seem to have a game plan in mind or like a specific mode it specializes in. I think what really puts it at the bottom is like it has some unfortunately atrocious Terra captains. Horrock's entire like kind of gimmick is that its base typing grants it a truckload of immunities and opportunities to get in and click funny Shadow Ball buttons. Magnezone, like you said, its entire gimmick is killing steals, but there's nothing on this team that is really walled by steals other than Glimora, but Glimora like has ways of dealing with that. And then there's a Volcarona right there to punish steals as well. Superior without Terra is kind of really mid. Though I suppose Garchomp does like really benefit from glass spam. And then like the Goodra and the Drifblim just I don't really know what they're bringing to the team. I don't think you need Gudra at all. Drifblim I can kind of see, just on the value of being a ghost type, so it's like a spin blocker to pair with your Glamora. But like there are better ghost types that can do that. I think it's just like the top half of the team is on the pout, and the back half of the team just doesn't really support the top half that well.
Looking at the team also, I think I know why Drifblim is here. The only ground resist outside of Drifblim is just Superior, who's like not that fat. He's not like super frail. He's at the least got starter bulk and is like slightly bulkier even than most other starters, but it's not enough all the time. So I think Drifblim is there as like a budget ground immunity.
Yeah.
But even then, I still don't think it's going to be coming very often. This team is very ground weak.
Yeah, it's like its entire like kind of top half, like the Glamora and the Magnezone, like pretty the ground. Yeah, there's just no resistance to ground, like almost at all. Like Superior is just gonna get whittled down really fast, and as soon as it's gone, like Scarf ground types just run through this team. You've got Weavile with the like priority, but Weavile's not a mon you can really switch into things. So you're basically going to be trading, and then Weavile's going to come in on the ground type, and it's going to have to click Ice Shot because you can't risk the ground type living, and then your opponent can just read that and abuse it. And you're just pigeonholed into like very specific ways of playing your games that are going to be very, very punishable and very, very hard to deal with throughout the season once people start like figuring out what your team does.
Okay. With that, I think we can move on to our number 13 team, the London Lunalas. This is our first weather team of Sunset, and it unfortunately had the misfortune of getting stuck with Politoed. Right away, that basically means your rain team is not going to be great. This team, I do think for a rain team, it has good bones. Like, it has potential. It's just missing a lot of things that rain needs to make it work. It does have Tornadus on rain. That's good. Archaludon is Terra Archaludon, really good on rain. Raging Bolt, really good on rain. Those three right there are very, very solid bones for the rain team. Urshifu Rapid Strike is kind of like Palafin and Rain or Chi-Yu and Sun, where it's like it doesn't need Terra, or not Terra, it doesn't need rain, but it's nice to have sometimes. But with this Rapid Strike not even being Terra, I feel like it's barely getting the benefit anyways. I feel like the Rapid Strike should probably have Terra over the Ursaluna, as much as I like Ursaluna. I just like Ursaluna doesn't really fit here, especially since you have Clodsire. It's also really unfortunate that your Swift Swimmer isn't Barraskewda, and it also sucks that your Swift Swimmer isn't Terra. Basculegion, I think, is going to feel pretty underwhelming on the offensive front just because it doesn't have really anything going for it in terms of team building you could be putting towards it, like specifically Terra, and also not having the Pelipper to get it on the field easier. So that's kind of unfortunate. Then on top of that, since your only Swift Swimmer is Basculegion, and like that's your only real form of speed control, now you've kind of been stuck drafting Sticky Webs with Rabombi. And like Rabombi's good for hyper offense, but you don't want to be dedicating more than 1 or 2 team slots to that kind of support every week. Like normally on Rain, the support is just Pelipper, and then it's kind of 5 offensive guys. Like you'll have a Zapdos, a Barraskewda. Like Zapdos can be defensive, but it's still clicking those offensive Rain buttons. But if you're bringing Rabombi and Politoed to a game, now you have 2 spots solely dedicated to just support. If you bring Clodsire, that's 3. And then your offense is just going to feel really subpar if you bring those guys any game. Jugulus is cool, but I think with Tornadus, it's just never going to come to a game. You're probably better off getting something else. But like normally with some weather teams, I advise to just like make some trades to get away from weather. But this team is just too invested in rain to do that. So I think changes I would make, I would probably shift Terra to Rapid Strike if you can. I would drop the Jugulus, I'd drop the Ursaluna, see if I can upgrade the Basculegion to like Floatzel or something. Or actually, the other rain team that we're going to talk about soon actually just dropped some rain stuff, so you can actually grab Pelipper now and Terra Barraskewda. So once that finalizes, grab that stuff as soon as you can. That'll make the team 10 times better. But yeah, also having no removal on a rain team is very, very unfortunate, and this team just doesn't have any. So look into that. Other than that, I think it's got some solid bones as a rain team, like I said. What do you think, Metal?
Yeah. We call it a rain team. It's more like a light shower kind of team, to be honest. It's just not. It's got the Archaludon, but it's not got like the pieces that you really, really need for rain to succeed this gen. If you want to run rain, you really need to like focus on getting the really important things. Like you need the Overquill, just because of the typing and overlap it brings. You really want the Terra Barraskewda, because that asshole is just completely unwallable. Urshifu Rapid Strike without Terra as your first pick is just kind of like very, very strange. Like, don't get me wrong, Rapid Strike can abuse rain, like, just fine. But it's not... You just don't have, like, anything that really pops. I think he was, like, the rain dream was over, like, the moment you got Pelipper sniped. Because it can't be understated just how, like, good Pelipper is and how much it enables rain. Just with how perfect of a weather setter it is. Like, you got Iron Jugulis, I don't know what Iron Jugulis is doing on the roster. You got the Tornadus Ferian, which does exactly what you'd want Jug to do. And there's no universe you'd want to get rid of Torn. Ribombi, having to put up webs on a rain team is a sign that the rain is really not going too well. And then Basculegion, I don't mind Basculegion as a Swift Swim sweeper, but that guy has like 110 base attack. It's nothing even remotely comparable to Barraskewda. I think the Terra on Ursaluna is wasted. I agree that you'd want to like Terra the Basculegion. You'd want to try and get Terra on the Rapid Strike. You'd maybe want to try and get rid of the Ribombi. If the Pelipper's free, absolutely you want to try and get that. I think at this point to fix the team, you kind of want to just pick at the bones of whatever Jav throws away. What else was I gonna say? I do really, really like the Raging Bolt. I think Raging Bolt punishes a lot of the things your opponents are gonna want to do to counter you. It can exploit rain. It can come in on your opponent trying to exploit rain by abusing flying types. It can come in on water types. It can come in on electric types. It can come in on basically anything that rain tries to exploit. And it is just a really solid balancing piece. I think that's about it. There's not really much that can be said other than like you said, the bones of a really good team are here. Another thing you could do is like maybe just pull away from rain completely, just focus on the Rapid Strike, the Taunt, the Raging Bolt, and the Ursaluna. Just try and make something work with that. But I think through like kind of no fault of your own, you just kind of got ruined by the Pelipper meme. The stupid rain frog is not it, unfortunately.
The stupid rain frog. Okay, I guess with that we'll move on to our number 12 team. It's going to be the Cherry Hill Bellsprouts. Now, this team is round 1 Terapagos. All is well there. Then we get to round 2 and we see Alamomola, and then everyone's hopes just instantly plummet. Like round 2 Aloe is someone always does it, usually in every div, but this season I think it was only Sunset that got the really early Aloe, except for maybe Neon. But Aloe is just it's not great. It's substitute bait, and this team, the first 2 guys are really setup reliant. So letting opponents get free substitutes up in front of you guys that want to be setting up themselves is not a good thing. I think Terra Boulder is a lot better than people in the PBO think. I put a lot of respect on it. I know most people here in the PBO don't. I think it's a solid round 3 pick. Okay, normally I'd say you could have waited a little bit longer in the PBO to grab it, but I was also looking at it, so you couldn't have. Landers is a really strong grab for a team like this. It gives it some of that immediate breaking power that it really needed. I think Empoleon's also really good. This team, like at this point, you might not have needed Empoleon because you have Alamomola. So like your team is super like Empoleon's big thing is it beats every relevant ice type in the format. It beats Kyurem, Bundle, usually Bax and Weavile. But Aloe beats most of those guys already, except for like some Kyurem variants. So you don't really need Empoleon. Maybe you just wanted it as a steal. Like it's pretty good as a steal, but yeah, like it's just okay like that. Fezandipiti's fantastic roll compression. We all know that. That's like what it does. Terrawochian making a comeback. I'm a lot bigger on Terrawochian than some other people are, but the unfortunate thing about it is without Terra, it's really, really bad. And when you have Iron Boulder, you're pretty much forced to bring and Terra it every game, which means this Wochien's just going to be sitting on the bench, which is really unfortunate because it's a decent chunk of points. I think it's like 6 or 7 points that's just going to be on the bench every week. With Terra, it's probably like 8 or 9. Rotom Heat, I'm going to say it, I really, really hate this guy. I think Rotom Heat is just terrible. People draft it to check the boxes of the type charts in the team builders. Like, oh, my team is weak to ice and ground. Newsflash, buddy. Every team in existence is weak to ice and ground. That's why it's such a good type combo. Drafting Rotom Heat doesn't really fix it because it doesn't beat any of them. And when you look at this team, you have Alamomola and Empoleon who beat all of the ice types anyways, and Alamomola can beat half the grounds anyways. So I really don't understand the Rotom pickup, much less making it Terra. I feel like it's not only is Rotom Heat not great in my opinion, it also doesn't fit on this team. So I think getting rid of the Rotom Heat as soon as possible would be very good. It is kind of like your only screen setter, so maybe that's what it's here for. But surely there are better budget screen setters than this for your team, I think. Iron Hands is good. It gives the team some immediate breaking power, which other than Landers, the team really lacks right now. And Chandelure is like the last guy. It's whatever. Chandelure always looks good on paper and then is never good. It never hits hard enough. Well, it does hit hard enough sometimes, but it's too slow nowadays and it's too frail to actually make it work. Overall, like the team, I think, yeah, overall, Metal told me earlier that he thinks the team lacks some immediate breaking power. I don't know if I really agree with that. I think Terra Boulder's a fantastic breaker. Landers is one of my favorite breakers this gen, and Iron Hands is always reliable. Terapagos is also a breaker often. Honestly, I would be more worried about closing out a game with this team. I think sometimes if you are running a Boulder set that's breaking, you're going to have trouble finishing a game with it sometimes. Because maybe as long as you're choosing between Terapagos and Boulder for your breaker, like one's the breaker, one's the cleaner, maybe you'll be okay. But other than that, yeah, like this team it's got solid pieces. It's just some of them don't exactly fit, I think. Terapagos being the hazard control is good. It's not particularly weak to any one typing, I think. Like on paper, it looks pretty ground weak, but I think a lot of the pieces can handle them mostly okay. So yeah, like, overall, I think it's a solid team. What do you think, Metal?
So in my notes for this team, I've just put round 2 Aloma and a frowny face. I think I'm not gonna lie, the round 2 Aloma like stunned me. I just kind of stared at the roster for a good 5 minutes. But like discounting the Aloma, it's not a necessarily bad team. Again, it's got good pieces on it, particularly fit together super well. I do really, really like Iron Boulder. I think it's incredibly underrated with Terra. Despite, like, without Terra, it's trash, sure, but I think Terra like turns this thing into an entirely different animal. I think Iron Boulder with Terrapagos, you've got like the most centralizing special late game sweeper in the game with one of the most centralizing physical late game sweepers in the game. I think opponents are going to be really stuck trying to figure out how to handle that, how to incorporate that into their game plan. I think the other two Terra Captains you've got in Wochen and Rotom Heat, they're not that bad. Like, you don't really want any expensive Terra Captains when you've got an Iron Boulder. I think Rotom Heat is just genuinely like dead points. I don't think that thing is ever gonna like be able to really come to a game and pull its weight, and it's never gonna want to be able to Terra. You've taken care of like the steel weakness pretty well. Like Lando and Iron Hands both pop steels open like nobody's business. Boulder and Terrapagos aren't going to be getting walled by those, but Terrapagos, you still have like 0 real ghost control. Terrapagos can't really... It can handle them on its own, but it doesn't really want to. It wants a team that can, like, free it up to just spam Starstorm and win a game. I think... what I write? I think what you're gonna find is a lot of opponents are gonna bring Terra Ghosts to neuter the Pagos and just hazard stack you and then blitz you before any of your big guys can like really get going. Because I like Iron Hands, I like Lando. Iron Hands and Lando are also like giga slow. They break, but they're not very like fast breakers unless you put like a Scarf on Lando, but then Lando's breaking power like diminishes just a little bit. I do really like the defensive core. I don't necessarily agree with the Terra on Wochen, but I'm just not high on Wochen in general. But like Empoleon fits really, really nicely with Landorus. Fezandipiti is just a really good roll compression mon. Your team really does need roll compression. With Empoleon, I don't really see any reason for you to ever have a low Momola. I think those are points definitely better used elsewhere. But again, it's a theme we'll see the more we go down these teams, is that the bones of a really good team are there. They're just not quite put together, if that makes sense. I think with just like a little bit of maneuvering, a bit of finagling, you can definitely build like a really good roster with what you have. It's just as it is at the moment, it's got a few like kind of key weaknesses that keep it from really thriving. If you can make Chandler finally do something, I'll PayPal you $10.
Also pay like $10.
That's $20 on the Chandelure now. Now you gotta make
I'm
it.
a Shandy
That guy's
believer.
stuck on the roster. I want to chip that guy. He's good.
I want to be a Shandy
good.
believer, but he's just I've never seen it do anything. It's like the low tier of Komao.
Okay, and with that, we're gonna move on to our number 11 team, the Edinburgh Enamorous. Now, this team, I think it's really scary. Like just looking at the top 6, it's really nasty. I'm a huge Deoxys Speed fan, even though some people aren't super high on it. And one of the things I always preach when drafting Deoxys Speed is it really likes teammates who can kind of ease some of its roll compression pressure sometimes. Like, you don't want Deoxys Speed to be your only spiker because it wants to be doing other things some games. And now we also have Gliscor, Terra Gliscor as a spiker. And even though Gliscor's best sets right now are the Double Dance offensive sets, it can still be a spiker, especially in games you want the Salamence to be Terra. And so by having these kind of having multiple options for each of these guys, using one set to alleviate the pressures of another, makes kind of these top 3 really strong together. And they're also just really hard to prep for in their own rights. So it's kind of just like this power combo between the two, or between the Deoxys Speed and Gliscor especially, that is going to make the Deoxys Speed, I think, really better on this team than it would be on most other teams. Now, Terra Salamence hasn't done phenomenally in PBO recently. Like, I think we allowed it for the first time last season, and it did just okay. But this season, it looks like the main source of like endgame pressure. Like, this is the only guy that can boost its speed to get past like most choice scarfers. Like Metagross can boost its speed with agility, but it's still not going to be faster than most choice scarfers a lot of the time. So Salamence is like the big Dragon Dance cleaner for this team. Cinderace I think is going to be a good breaker, but it's also the only form of hazard control. And when you have Gliscor and Deoxys speed on your team, a lot of opponents are going to be like calling that you're not going to bring court change because you're trying to get spikes up. So they'll just hazard stack you anyway. So I think in that sense, this team is kind of hazard weak. So I feel like Cinderace isn't doing enough as deterrent in that regard. But it doesn't mean it's bad on this team. It's still a really good breaker with Pyro Ball. It feels a very valuable speed tier for this team, and it's doing the pivoting thing it always does. We have Base and Namorous, which I think is kind of whatever, honestly. I'm not a big Base and Namorous guy. I think it's pretty terrible. But it still doesn't change the fact that it can be a strong breaker. It does prefer Boots without Terra. So with hazard control being as limited as it is on this team, Boots Enam is probably going to be common. So like Calm Mind sets will probably be the standard every week. So this team does seem a little reliant on setup right now to like actually get through stuff, but I think it doesn't need it, you know. Metagross is a really great roll compression guy. Can get rocks up, can knock off, can sweep games with agility, weakness policy. It can even do screens, even though I've never actually seen it do that. It does have that option. It's got good priority. It's just this is the main roll compression guy that the team's gonna try and lean on for glue. No, I say that as I just talked about all the roll compression from Deoxys and Gliscor, but I think Metagross is going to do more of the defensive roll compression, if that makes any sense. Alolan Mug is also great compression, but like it's pretty standard stuff. It's just going to knock off Gunk Shot, maybe a Fire Punch once in a while, Sneak. Conkeldurr is like kind of a fun pick. It's not particularly good at its role, but it's not bad at it either. It also does get defog, so that's technically more hazard control, but when you have the spike stackers you probably won't be running it. Terra Suicune, it's a nice backup option, I guess. Like Suicune's pretty terrible nowadays, but with Terra, maybe can do something, but realistically it's not going to be coming. You have Terra Salamence and Terra Gliscor, it's not going to be doing anything. Banette exists. So like basically this is going to be a top 6 roster most weeks, and then maybe Muck or Conkeldurr will come. That's pretty much it. Like this team I think is a notable step up from the last because it has a lot more of that immediate offensive pressure, even though a lot of it is still setup reliant, if that makes any sense. What do you think, Metal?
So in my notes, I put this team is all gas, no breaks, win by turn 6 or die trying. It's got like all the offense it could possibly want. Deoxys speed is obviously one of the best screen setters in the game. You set up a couple of screens, you go into like your Salamence or your Double Dance Gliscor, set up and try and just clean from there. I think in terms of offense, this team is going to be really, really scary for people to prep for. I don't think many teams are going to have the rosters capable of stopping this from just kind of trying to run through them. And it's going to, a lot of the time, it might just come down to a trade war or how well opponents like maneuver their own like kind of utility, like screens and resistance berries and whatnot. Outside of that, though, the utility mon is basically Deoxys speed and then to a lesser extent Gliscor. And Gliscor only really because it's got the hazards and the taunts. Its defenses are like paper thin. It has so many key weaknesses that it needs to patch up that it just doesn't. Like it's weak to flying, it's weak to ice, it's weak to electric, it's weak to ghost, it's weak to fairy, it's weak to rocks on a roster with like mono court change Cinderace removal. I think the moment a team can like kind of stall this team's momentum, it's kind of just Jova. I think the bottom 4 Pokemon really needed to go to like more niche utility, like maybe some bottom tier removal, maybe a bottom tier screen setter like a Rotom. Just something, anything to like make it less reliant on its offense. Gliscor might, like, despite having two very good Terra captains in Salamence and Gliscor, a lot of the time you might find yourself having to Terra Gliscor just to make sure you don't get ran over by like a specific typing that your opponent has. But then even when you Terra the Gliscor off its base typing, it just opens you up to even more weaknesses. I think you're gonna struggle a lot to really answer some of your opponent's like threats. And like I said, the moment you stall in the momentum game, that's it. Your opponent can just completely lock you out of the game, I think. So I think, that being said, a team that is literally just the MMO DPS role in like physical form looks really funny, and I really hope it does well. I think a lot of players in Sunset are gonna look at this roster and just get massive headaches trying to figure out how to play around it. But yeah, like I said, the defenses, there's just way too many holes in it defense wise for it to really be placed any higher in the list, I think.
Okay, and with that, we're gonna move on to our number 10 team, the Blasphemous Bucephalons. Now, this team, in my opinion, has a really, really scary top 5. I think Terra, Gren, Gouging, Sneasler, and then Corviknight Slowking to like facilitate those three is really, really strong, because all three of the top 3 guys can either break or like clean or sweep, and it's really hard for a team to have checks for like all 6 of those sets. But after you get past that top 5, you look and you see low tier guy, and then low tier guy, and then mid tier guy, then low tier, then low tier, then low tier, and you're like, where did all this guy's points go? Surely not all the points went into the top 5. Like, they're good Pokemon, but they're not like all 20 pointers. And then you look and you realize he still has 6 points on the bench that he just hasn't used. So this team is like, it's using a pound for pound, like point wise, weaker roster than everyone else's, and I can't figure out a reason why. Like, I look at the team. If you have Terra Gren, I'm gonna say it now, your other Terra guys just should not be Terraing often. Maybe once, maybe twice a season. And you have Terra Garganackle on the roster, which is, in my opinion, basically useless without Terra. So that's like 12 points, 12 more points sitting on the bench that can't really do anything every week. So, like, realistically, it's not. There are a lot of wasted points on this roster. The mons themselves are like fine. Like, Arbolive is a good mon on its own. Comfey, I think, is good even without Terra. Like, it does a great job checking a lot of the top threats in the meta, like Pult, Valiant, non-Terra Tusk, Meowscarada, stuff like that. But with Terra, I feel like it's kind of a waste of points, even though it can do the funny sweep once in a while. Like, the sweeping stuff is just a matchup fish, or like, it's really just a matchup fish as a Pokemon. But like, if you look at the top 5, like the top 5 would have to be coming every single week for this team, and then after that, you're forced to bring a guy that's either like 4 or 5 points, or is completely useless without Terra. And then there's like Comfey's like the one exception to that rule. But even then, Comfey's like, just, again, it's the matchup fish. Like, those are your 3 options. Bring a matchup fish, a low power mon, or a Terra hog. And none of those are particularly good options. So when you have 6 points sitting on the bench, you should really start looking at what's on the board, looking to make some upgrades. You could upgrade that Arboliva to like a 9-point mon. You can upgrade the Comfey to like a 15-pointer. Just stuff like that. The team also, it doesn't have a good ground type. So when you have Corviknight, you have Slowking, guys they're just going to come in, they're going to try and Volt Switch on you. They're going to try and get rocks up, because now, like, you also just don't have a great rocker. Like, you have Garganackle, you have Gligar. Gligar, I'm going to be honest, I love Natdex Gligar. Paldex Gligar, in my opinion, should never be hitting the field unless it's like low tier, but we're not in low tier. Like, Paldex Gligar, I think, is just a really not good Pokemon. You have really phenomenal hazard control, honestly. Like, Corviknight It's the only viable defogger in the format, and then Cryogonal is like probably one of the better super low tier rapid spinners. Not to mention it's also like a decent special like blanket special check overall. But the way this team is, you have exactly 3 Pokemon that are doing offensive things every game, and that's going to make them really predictable. So like I said at the start, this team, it's going to be hard for opponents to prep for like the 6 sets that Greninja, Gouging, and Sneasel can do, like the sweeping or breaking variants of each of them. But since they don't really have to prep defensively for anything else on your team, they can kind of afford to now. So now by having the bottom half of your roster weaker, you've also effectively weakened the top, like the main juice of your roster as well. Like this team, Metal was saying for the last team that it was all gas no matter what. This team is like it's trying really hard to not give it a lot of gas, and so now it's dragging behind the top 3 guys as well, which is really unfortunate because I think they're a really nasty combination together. But like overall, Blasphemous is known in the PBO for drafting unconventionally and still absolutely blowing teams out of the water with it. So even with the team's pretty big weaknesses, I think Blasphemous is still gonna pull off a lot of unconventional, successful stuff with this team. What do you think, Metal?
The more I look at this team, I'm not gonna lie, the more I hate it. I think if we should have probably put it lower, but we don't want to give Blasphemous the seasonal buff they get season after season by being put in 14th and winning. Yeah, it's the top 3, and then two like Gen 8 level defensive guys, and then it's just a lot of dross. I think the moment one of those top 3 goes down at any point during the match, and you're not in a position to just outright win, I think it like flips the matchup like 75 to 25 to you losing. And it's not going to be hard to like catch 2 of those out, considering how frail Sneasler and Greninja are. You're going to be struggling to really make any like kind of meaningful progress with them as well. Like Ren, the one benefit to those 3, I think, that is really good in terms of offensive breaking power, is that all of them can play the kind of mid-game breaking or late-game sweeping role like perfectly. Sneasler can do unburden shenanigans. Greninja's got Battle Bond stuff that it can pop mid-game or late-game. And then Gouging can either just play like a straight breaker, or it can set up, or it can even play Disruption with Burning Bulwark and breaking swipes. I think what's actually going to end up happening is at some point in a game when you're not quite ready to win, you're going to end up losing one of your top 3 guys. Progress is going to like really slow down, and a game is going to end up coming down to like trying to finish off your opponent with Comfy or Gog. I don't see why the bottom 1, 2, 3 Pokemon are like that when you still got 6 points. Gligar's cool in that dex, but in Paldex, it's legitimately just terrible. It doesn't really do anything. It comes in, it gets knocked off, and then it eats an ice move. Cryogonal, I don't mind Cryogonal as much. I would have preferred like a higher tier removal, but it is one of the better, like a Don said, it's one of the better lower tier removal options. Sableye, like I don't mind Sableye either most of the time, but Sableye is kind of like, it's a mon you take as like your last pick, like kind of just give yourself that like prankster threat to force your opponents to think about. It's not something you really take like that early and then followed by the 2 mons you followed it up with. I think, yeah, it's going to be a very predictable 5-mon team, and then picking your poison of either Arboliver, Comfy, or Gog. And like if Arboliver doesn't come, then like that's a mode you can discount for the Sneasel and the Gouging Fire. abusing terrain. I think Don said it like best. It's just top 5, and then just one random kind of mid-tier mon that really doesn't want to come but has to come. Please, for the love of God, please spend your extra 6 points. I beg you, please do it for me, please.
All right, with that, we're gonna move on to our number 9 team, the Lion City Leech Life. Now, this team, it heard about Tinglu Petrunt being strong, and they said, you know what, I want to do that. But they didn't really think about grabbing anything that would want the kind of support that Tinglu Patch provides. Like normally, Tinglu Patch is something you get as like a round 2, round 3 kind of pick, and you get a really strong round 1 that wants to benefit from it. Like, I don't know, I haven't used Ting Patch, I'm not great. I don't know exactly what kind of round 1 would work well with it, but you want some kind of strong power with it, something that really appreciates the spikes that Tinglu provides and the blocking that Petrunt provides for it. Instead, we got Tinglu Patch Grassy Terrain, which is only kind of is anti-synergy, because you're trying to whittle them down with spikes and like Petrunt's Toxics, stuff like that. And now you're giving them grassy terrain to at least a little bit offset some of those spikes. Like Tinglu, most games is only gonna get up like a spike and maybe you'll get up a second stealth rock sometimes. Otherwise, it's just really passive sometimes. Which means your opponent will be taking like 12.5%, and then Rillaboom comes in, they get 6.5 of that back. So it's like it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and this team is just kind of outside of Tinglu Patch. I feel like just isn't going to have the longevity to last in a drawn-out game where you're taking 2 steps forward and then 1 step back consistently. I do think the team looks really fun, though. I think the Terra options are really, really strong. This is a team that did a really good job with Terra options in terms of picking things that are strong without Terra, but also are really, really good with them. Like with the exception of Reuniclus. Reuniclus kind of needs Terra to be good. But Hawlucha doesn't need Terra to clean a game. It's usually like a defensive Terra to like get an extra sword stance sometimes, or like a bulk up, stuff like that. And Chi-Yu, as we all know, like it doesn't need Terra, it really likes it sometimes. Or it doesn't need Terra on Sun, but like that's a different story. I think Chi-Yu's the main Terra here. It's going to do a lot of breaking. Hawlucha is going to be getting that. It's going to be cleaning a lot of the times. Like if I had to guess, the cleaner in most games is going to be Bundle or Lucha. Chi-Yu is probably going to be like Scarf Terra Dark a lot of the time. Tinglu Patch is going to try and get up stuff early. And then Cyclizar is there for hazard removal. The more I use Cyclizar, the more I think it's just okay as hazard removal. Like it doesn't really beat any of the relevant ghost types that it would want to spin in front of. So it's kind of just okay. Like knockoff is okay, but it's not getting past Patch, which is on this team. So like that's one less spin blocker for it to worry about. But it doesn't beat like Annihilate, it doesn't beat anything that would like Terra Ghost in front of it. So it's kind of just whatever as a spin blocker. Bundle is one of the guys, like even though it's not like a round 1 pick, it is something that is appreciating the spikes put down by the Tinglu. Same with Chi-Yu. So like that's good. Orthworm I feel like is it's clearly here as a token steel type, and it's just not great at it. Like sure, okay, you can point out how the Orthworm was going crazy in the game it had week 1 as much as you like, but doesn't make it a good Pokemon just because it worked once. Like I don't know, like the Steel and the Fairy are not good on this team. You have an Orthworm and a Darkspun. This team is gonna get Draco Meteored a bunch. Tinglu is your switch into Draco Meteors on this team. That is not a good thing. So if you go against a team with a strong Dragon type, they're kind of just going to pick it apart, I think. Like, Tinglu and Petron are fat, but they can't take hits forever. Not all the time. Rillaboom brings good priority to the team. Yeah, I mean, like, there's not a whole lot left to talk about. I just think this team... it's really, really relying on Tinglu and Petch to do all of the defensive lifting, which is putting a lot of pressure on them, which is like kind of not what you want to be doing when you have guys with roll compression like they do. Because like the more pressure you put on guys with a lot of roll compression, the more they get forced into doing specific things. And so Tinglu Petch is going to feel forced to do the spike spin blocking thing all the time, which they are really good at. But now they're losing some of that longevity because you're trying to get them in a lot. So like overall, this team it's got a lot of defensive issues, and its plan is to kind of last a long time. So it's kind of not great in that regard. So I worry in a drawn out game, this team's going to start losing pieces and then start crumbling pretty quickly. It can definitely win though. I think Bundle's a good fit on this team. So is Chiyu. But I'm just repeating myself at this point. Metal, what do you think?
I mostly agree with everything you said. This team used to be a lot worse. It really got itself saved in Grace, I think. I think it was like a bottom contender before. But I think Chiyu really kind of gave this team like the shot in the arm it needed with Terra. I think Chiyu and Iron Bundle is an absolutely demonic combo. Terra Chiyu typically tends to force like a lot of dragon type or water type terrors to avoid just being food for like Specs overheats. And then Iron Bundle really capitalizes on that. It's like a tried and true core between them. Tinglu and Petch is also like it's the flavor of the month. It's what everybody's doing. I'm not sure that I'd ever consider like first rounding it. Like you said, like it's something you really take if you get like a good top guy that can really abuse it. That being said, I think Chiyu can abuse the hazards they set down well. I think Holucha can really take advantage of that with Rillaboom. Iron Bundle can really use that to like get into a good cleaning position. I think the team's biggest weakness like you said comes with its defensive core outside of the Petch and Tinglu. Dashbun is Dashbun and Orthworm is Orthworm. Like you said, Draco Medias are just gonna run through the team. The big elephant in the room is the 7th round Orthworm, because this mon is really not good. Yet they played their first week game and absolutely like killed June's soul with it. It did not die. It kept coming in and being a nuisance. It was a thing of beauty to watch. So maybe Lion City can be the guy. Maybe they can be the one to finally make Orthworm work. Reuniclus, I don't really know what to make of Reuniclus. I'm not gonna lie. Even with Terra, I've never seen it used. I've never seen it do anything. I feel like with Holucha and Chiyu, there are just much better Terra options. I would have maybe preferred like a fat defensive Terra in that spot, just to take some of the pressure off Tinglu and Petron when it's really needed. But I don't disbelieve in it. I'm down to be proven wrong. I think I can absolutely see the potential. I've just never seen it do anything. But other than that, like I agree with Don mostly. It's just it's a pretty standard Ting Petch core, standard Iron Bundle Chiyu breaking combo. And then I guess it could really do with some physical breaking side outside of just Rillaboom. Because Rillaboom likes to do like a lot of stuff other than just raw breaking. Maybe move Terra onto the Rillaboom, so it can like take on that role of breaking more, and maybe Holucha can take a more defensive role when it needs to. But then again, like Reuniclus, I don't think Reuniclus is good at all without Terra.
Okay. With that, we can move on to our number 8 team, the Alabama for Alligators. Now, Blue Fusion here, he stepped in, took over for June, and put this team together with what was left on the board. And I would say with what was left on the board, he put together a pretty good team. There are a lot of like unconventional picks of guys that I personally consider to be on fraud watch. Like Latios, I think is a fraud. Blaziken, I think is like I don't want it to be a fraud, but I know it is. And then like non-Terra Jolteon's pretty not great. But If we look at the team, like Terra, Excadrill, and T-Tar, that's gonna steal games on its own. Like that's just what they do. That's the whole point of what they do. It's why you draft T-Tar in Gen 9 in the first place, because if it weren't for Excadrill, no one would ever be drafting T-Tar, believe me. Now on top of that, you have Skarmory, the token I don't want to lose to other ground types Pokemon, and it also doesn't take Sand Chip, which is nice. Hisuian Samurott will get up Spikes, which is really nice for like a banded Terra Ground Excadrill. Latios is some good special breaking power, which this team really needs up to this point. Blaziken is a backup cleaner in case the Excadrill T-Tar stuff kind of fizzles out in the early game. Blaziken is a backup cleaner for that. Quillfish gets you even more spikes, gets you a slightly bulkier water, gets you Intimidate, gets you a grounded poison, gets you speed control, gets you debond, gets you flip turn. This guy is like crazy budget roll compression. Insanely good at it. Decidueye is cool on this team, I think. Provides a defogger that is, I think it has defog in Palvex. But even though Excadrill, like with Terra, Excadrill isn't going to be spinning that much. It'll still be doing it a lot, don't get me wrong, but it won't be doing it that much. It's nice to have that kind of relief for it in that vein. Gives us more priority in the vein of Shadow Sneak. You have Recovery, you have Knockoff, you have U-turns, more pivoting. There's a lot of pivoting on this team, actually. Which is really, really good for like T-Tar and Excadrill, which are guys that don't really want to be taking hits when they don't have to. Non-Terra Jolteon is here as a speed tier. It's shit. I can't imagine it'll come to a game. But it's an electric community. It's an electric community. And Excadrill won't always just be Terra Ground, so it's nice to have a backup one. Terra Gardevoir is cool, but I really don't imagine it'll be coming to a game. Staraptor is a cool breaker. Maybe it'll come to a game or two. Also, when I say Terra Gardevoir won't be coming to a game, I mean as the Terra captain. Like, I'm sure Gardevoir will come to a game as a special wall and as a fairy. Tyranitar is also Terra, notably, which is like interesting. I can't imagine it'll ever be Terra.
I think it's just Terra because it causes 0 points to Terra.
I thought we bumped it up one because Zon said something.
Did we?
I think it was either that or Uxie, but I know we didn't budge on Uxie, but I think we did on Utard.
Oh yeah, we made 1 point extra to Terra, huh?
So it's like Terra T-Tar, it costs an extra point. It's not like a bad choice or anything. At the very least, it'll make your opponent think when they see the Terra Fairy T-Tar in the matchup, like when you go into the game. If Excadrill goes, you use it as a suicide lead or something, which when you have Hisuian Samurai, you should probably never do. But if for some reason you do, and you just want to bring Unnerved T-Tar 1 week because Dragon Dance Terra Fairy looks unbeatable, friggin' go for it, man. This is a team you put together with what was left on the board after week 1. You get a lot of leeway in my mind for that, and this team is solid regardless. But yeah, that's pretty much it. What do you think, Metal?
I really, 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 really like this team. It looks so fun to pilot. I love Excadrill for a team built on the scraps left over after replacing week 1, and especially from a team that had some very awkward draft to begin with, like the round 1 Excadrill into a round 2 T-Tar is. Ugh.
I think the original draft was round 1 Terra Moth and a round 2 Excadrill.
Oh, was it?
I think so.
Oh, that's not as bad. But yeah, I really like it. Excadrill and Tyranitar. I'm not a big fan of the Lati twins this gen, but I think Sand is one of the few kind of team compositions they really, really thrive on. I would have maybe preferred Latias, to be honest. Latias has the passive healing from Draining Kiss. This gen to offset the Sand Chip is really good at setting up on the special side of things. Hisuian Samurot's really good. Excadrill loves teams that are chipped down, and between Spikes from Samurott, Quillfish, and the general Sand Chip from Sandstorm itself from Tyranitar, I think a lot of teams are going to put themselves into losing range without even realizing it. I think God of War here can absolutely function as a backup Terra Captain. I think you can absolutely catch some people off guard just by running like Terra Fairy, Moonblast spam God of War. Because what are they gonna do to counter that? Like their poison type or their ground type, the steel type. Exegil and Exegil's right there to punish them. Blaziken is Blaziken. I'm not a fan of it on a sand team just because of how long it takes to get going. And like typically with Blaziken, you run Lorb to try and get as much damage from its attacks as you possibly can. So it's just going to be and then with like Flare Blitz Recoil, it's going to be like taking a lot of like kind of passive damage to itself. But I can definitely see it working. I think if anything, like its presence is more of a reason to have gone Latias for like Healing Wish. I think Dekiduya, the CGY, is a really, really good ghost type. I think it's really good on this team specifically, just because it's like its typing combination matches up so well with Exegil and Tyranitar. It can spin block, it can soak up ground attacks, it can soak up fighting attacks. Fighting and ground tend to be like what sand teams always end up weak to without fail. I think the DCGY really compensates that well. Star Raptor it's a non-Terra Star Raptor. That's kind of there. And then obviously Jolteon is. I don't think anybody's really gonna prep for like a Jolteon without Terra, but maybe you can catch people out with that as well. Overall, like I think it's just like a perfect middle of the road team. It's got some good highs. It's not got that many lows. I think considering it's basically just a scrap team, I think it's really good, and I'm really excited to see what it does.
I do want to say you were talking about how you'd rather Latios be on this team, but the original team that Blue took over did have Latios over Latios on it.
Did it?
Yeah, it did. But I think the reason he swapped it is because, like, if you look at his team and you get rid of Latios, the team has like zero special breaking power. Like Gardevoir can do it, but he likes doing a lot of the bulky stuff this gen. It also can't come every game the way Latios can, and Latios just is notably a lot weaker than Latios.
So yeah, I guess I see it. I get it.
Anyways, with that, I think we're going to move on to our number 7 team, officially top half of the roster, the Birmingham Weasels. Now, this is the token Dragapult team. Now, this is the team that gave all of us heart attacks earlier in the season.
He
tried to give his Dragapult to the Valiant team. But thankfully for all of us, that didn't happen, and the 1 seed was saved for another team. So basically, what I will say about this team is Dragapult really likes facilitating broken Terra Captains. That's like its thing this gen. It uses its pivoting, its double status, its screens, stuff like that to whittle things down for like broken Terra Captains. Like a good one that I can think of that I see with Bolt sometimes is Terraco Quavel, stuff like that. Stuff like that can end a game on a dime by taking a free turn that Dragapult can very easily give it. And then I think of that, and then I look at this team, and I see not a lot that can take advantage of it. Like Waterpon it can kind of do it, but it's not Terra, so it's kind of whatever. Iron Crown is the best thing on this team to take advantage of that, because that guy absolutely can take advantage of what Bolt wants to do. It can take the free turns from a T-Wave or a Will-O-Wisp to start setting up with an Agility or a Calm Mind or an IDEF, and then just absolutely destroy a team in a late game scenario. But after that, you look at the team, and it's just that. You have Donphan, you have Clefable, you have Mandibuzz. Like, that's like sand. That's like bulky sand cores, like Donphan, Clefable, Mandibuzz that just sit there forever and chip the opponent. Then you have Tentacool as a second spinner, which I don't really think we needed. You have Terra Oricorio, which is like a guy that can take advantage of what Pult offers, but at the same time, it's not inherently threatening enough for it to be a great recipient of it. Mienshao is cool with Terra, but I'm not sure it really appreciates the support Pult gives as much as other options would. And then Rotom Frost feels like it was here as a token Levitator, Pivoter, another dual status guy, I guess.
Give
Like,
me
I can't
green.
even.
Give me green boxes, please. Give me my Rotom.
Yeah, exactly. Except it's Rotom Frost, so it's really not giving that many. I like Rotom Frost, but like usually with like chilly reception support, so you can come in and spam Blizzard. But this team doesn't have that either. Like this team, the Pokemon individually, they're all like really good. Like especially like the top seven are really strong, but they're not exactly synergizing with what Pult does. And like Pult is really good at facilitating offense. Like as much as of a Pult hater as I've been in the past, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that it's bad at facilitating offense because it's great at that. This team just doesn't have the offense to take advantage of it. Um, I'll stop beating that point to death now, but this team has a lot of like it's got one spiker in Waterpond, which is a good spiker, mind you, and then it's also got a lot of knockoff. It's got Donphan, it's got Waterpond, it's got Clefable, it's got Mandibuzz, it's got Mienshao, and Tentacruel. It's a lot of knockoff. So you're getting rid of all those boots, getting up hazards. Pult is like a decent spin blocker. It's not great. It can come in once in a while and catch a stray spin if you're being aggressive, which if you have Pult, you should probably be being aggressive. So like it's good in that regard, especially because spinning is so hard already with how offensive this generation tends to be. But I do worry that this team in particular isn't as offensive as it needs to be like dissuading those spins. Overall, this team is like really close to being really strong. I just think it needs one, maybe two more guys that are really strong offensively to take advantage of some of Pult's support. I feel like you don't need both of Tentacruel and Donphan because like both of them being spinners, you only really need one. Both of them are like really good mid-tier spinners. Whichever one you get rid of though, you need to like pick up their typing in return because Donphan's the only ground and Tentacruel's the only poison. So you need those typings. You just might be able to afford different roles. Like maybe here's a thought. I think Terra Revavroom is still on the board. Maybe if you drop the Tentacruel, grab Terra Revavroom, shift the Terra from like Mienshao or Oricorio or something onto the Revavroom, and now you have a guy that takes advantage of the T-waves, the wisps, and the screens, and the pivots that Pult provides, and you have a guy that can like really threaten in a late game scenario. That's like one thought. There are other avenues you could take, but that's pretty much what I got. What do you think, Metal?
You know how I feel about Iron Crown teams.
Oh, I do.
I think like in terms of offensive pressure, it is like Pult, Orgerpon, Iron Crown, and then to a lesser extent Mienshao. I think Mienshao with Terra is really untapped. I think that thing can absolutely shred, just thanks to its ability to just keep coming in and bouncing back in and out. In terms of spin blocking, it does have Oricorio. Oricorio does have like a flying ghost form, which I think is decent at spin blocking. Obviously, it's not the best, but it is something. I think it's a very well-rounded team. It's got a really good cherry on the top. I think Orgerpon W is like really good even without Terra. And obviously Iron Crown is Iron Crown. I love that thing. I think Iron Crown is supported really well by Pulse. It's just like you said, I think the team could benefit from just a few, like one or two more big guys, some heavy hitters that can like pull up and sweep in place of Orgerpon or Iron Crown when they need to. Just a couple more like kind of setup threats. I think Mienshao is fine to play physical breaking. I think maybe, like you said, drop a Donphan or a Tentacruel for like a higher level special sweeper. Could be really good. I don't rate Oricorio as one at all. I don't think that one's particularly good. And then the Rotom Frost is the Rotom Frost. It's there for. It is there to make the green boxes look pretty. It's for a Pult team. It's hard to really have a bad Pult team. I think it's just a perfectly fine Pult team. It's a serviceable Pult team. It's not really blowing anything out of the water, but like it's not going to get rolled or anything. I think this team can definitely like make it to playoffs and have a good run. As long as you don't give the Pult away for an Iron Treads. But yeah, I think Slap Bang in the middle is like perfect for this team. It's got some highs, it's got some lows. It's there, it's inoffensive, it gets the job done. It's the blue collar worker.
Okay, and with that, we're gonna move on to our number 6 team, the Prophet of the Pantheon. Now, this team is the Palafin team. Palafin teams historically in PBO have done very well, and this one I think can definitely do very well. It just looks a little different than they have in the past. Now we got round 1 Palafin and a round 2 Terra Hydrapple, and that's a really strong combination in my opinion. Like Hydrapple is really, really nasty at like early mid-game breaking because it gets so many free turns with Regenerator, and it's insane stat block. Heatran I think is really nice for this team because like I don't know, like Heatran's weak to ground, right? Like non-Terra Heatran. Obviously it's very weak to ground in any ground coverage move. But Hydrapple and Palafin can absolutely destroy any ground types, really. Like, Palafin doesn't want to come in on them sometimes, but when it's in on them, it's bulking up or it's just outright killing them. Thunderous Therian can also come in on those ground types and click. It can pivot around. You can't really hit them initially, but if it Terras, then it can absolutely be really nasty in front of any ground types that Heatran's inviting in. But if you do Terra the Thunderous, you're not Terraing Hydrapple, which is unfortunate. A, because that's leaving a lot of points on the bench, and B, because Terra Hydrapple is just an insane mon in this format anyways. Like, Metal's probably gonna tell you, oh, Hydrapple's just like it's like Terra Keldeo, it's like Ting Petch, everyone's drafting it right now. I think Hydrapple stands out among them as being a legitimately good Pokemon. Not that the others aren't, but like as being particularly strong and untapped before, and now it's being properly recognized as very strong. Past that, we have Wheezing Galar, which is, I think, it's good defog support plus Regieleki Spin, which I think is really nice because A, you don't have like you have spikes from Klefki, which is good, but I think having double hazard control is really, really good with Palafin, because while Palafin may not be technically weak to rocks and spikes, it's practically weak to them if you're not leading it, because you have to take rocks the first time when you come in, and then the second time when you're actually activated. So realistically, Palafin's very hazard weak. Not to mention, if it's a banded set, it wants to click one hit and then switch immediately out. Hydrapple kind of alleviates hazard weakness a little bit by being Regenerator, but having the dual removal is still really nice anyways. Geezing, I do think is it's usually going to be running Levitate on these kinds of teams, but since you have a pretty good ground matchup already, maybe you can get away with being neutralizing gas more often, and therefore being more effective as a grounded poison and absorbing T-Spikes. But even past it, this team isn't that weak to T-Spikes anyways, with the exception of Palafin, who's like really weak to T-Spikes. But like Hydrapple, Terra Poisons all the time, Thunder's Therian's flying above them, Heatran doesn't care, Geezing doesn't care, like he likes to be Boots, Klefki doesn't care. I can't remember if Dusknoir's Levitate or not, but Azelf doesn't care. So basically with...
Dusknoir doesn't have Levitate.
Does not? Okay.
No.
Doesn't. But anyways, this team, like the top three guys are really nice in like being a good offensive core. And then you have Heatran, Geezing, and Crocodile, which is like insane roll compression utility core. And so I think the top three are really nicely supported. Azelf is also a really good offense facilitator. It's a really good lead. It's a good screener. It's a great cleaner. It's a really versatile guy who's kind of held back by its typing, but it's Terra on this team, which honestly, out of all the Terra captains, I think this one is going to be Terra the least, if ever. So like it's not really that crazy big of a factor in my opinion. But yeah. Once you get past the Azelf, you have Dusknoir, who I don't think will really ever come. And then you have Klefki, which is really, really good lately, especially with the rise of screens and just offense in general. Klefki's value is kind of skyrocketed. I'm kind of surprised it lasted this long, honestly. So you have Cliff to get spikes up, click T-Wave, click Screens, click Foul Play, click Switcheroo, click Fairy Lock and like trap whatever tries to revenge kill, or whatever you want to revenge kill, whatever killed the Klefki. But like honestly, I feel like looking at this team right now, I see a lot of support and not a ton of reliable offense. Like Crocodile can absolutely be offense. Like a lot of the utility guys can be offensive, which is like one of the strengths of them on this team. But in terms of reliable offense, you really have the top three, and then Azelf, I guess. So like you have a lot of utility guys, but not a lot to actually support. So if I had to guess, we're going to see a lot of offensive Crocodile and a lot of offensive Azelf this season, trying to be supported by the Klefki and the Giesing and the Heatran. Smeargle exists on the roster. It's a cool gimmick. I think Smeargle kind of gets disrespect in the draft community, but like it's fine. Like it's cheap for a reason, and if someone drafts it, let them. Like, I think it's fine as like a 3-pointer or whatever we have it at. But yeah, this team, I don't think it's particularly weak to any one typing. Yeah, not that I can tell. Maybe, yeah, no. And nothing I can see. I think the double fairies and Klefki and Giesing is really nice. Same with double steel. Like Klefki, technically speaking, from a typing standpoint, is redundant, but like I said, the support it brings is really, really nice for this team. What do you think, Metal?
I'm gonna have to correct you on this Hydrapple slander you threw at me early on. I am Hydrapple's biggest glazer, biggest supporter. Thank you very much. The only reason I don't have it myself is because Ben snaked me, took a knife and plunged it in my back. But other than that, it's a Palafin team, right? It's got a lot of the pieces you typically see on a Palafin team. Hydrapple, I know, like gets paired with Palafin a lot now for obvious reasons. They just synergize really, really well typing-wise. FunDT is usually used with Palafin to completely annihilate bulky waters that it struggles against. I'm not a fan of the removal being Defog, Regieleki, Defog, G-Weezing, and Regieleki Rapid Spin. Especially not with a Palafin team. The main way to cripple a Palafin is to spam hazards and force it to like kill itself on entry to just cripple its setup potential. The physical power is basically all coming from Palafin and Crocodile, which I'm not too big of a fan of. Azelf can do it as well, but Azelf typically like wants to do other things. It wants to be a Swiss Army knife more than it wants to like be a beat stick. I don't know about Dusknoir as a spin blocker. I like Dusknoir as a mon. I think it's really cool, but I don't know if it's actually good. I'd be interested to see how it does, but I'm not holding my breath. I think there's probably much better ghost types that Mac could have taken over Dusknoir. Terra Captain wise, I think most of the time it is going to be Hydrapple. But then again, like when Hydrapple Terras, I think the team is like fairly weak to ground type. FunDT like doesn't really want to be swapping into them because it's like surprisingly frail. It doesn't want to eat like a stray Stone Edge or a knockoff or anything. Then G-Weezing, like this is the only division this thing went round 5. It went round 4 in every other division, and that broke my brain. This Pokemon is not good. If you're having to bring this thing like on a consistent basis, something is going wrong with your team. Even if it's like Levitate, it exists to patch holes in a roster. It shouldn't be going round 5 before those said holes in a roster really like have a chance to actually be shown. The screenplay this team has is like amazing. Klefki and Regieleki are two of the best screen setters in the game. Again, it's just a very like solid all around team. I think, like we said, it's a bit lacking in offense outside of like the top 3. Heatran can be offensive, but I think without Terra, it's a lot more susceptible to just getting walled by bulky waters. The team is like weak against bulky waters, kind of at the moment. It's got Funny T and Regieleki to break through them, but Heatran doesn't have pivoting to like kind of pivot out into them, and like neither of those two mons wants to swap into moves because of how frail they are. Outside of that, yeah, I like it. I think it's just a little weak offensively. I think it's still gonna do really well. Notice it looks a little different to all the other Palafin teams we've ever had in the PBO because it's a different guy drafting them this time. And I think Azelf is like a really underappreciated Terra captain as well. I think that thing can pop off if Mech really decides to cook with it. I've seen like Manu do some absolutely heinous stuff with Azelf, and I'm pretty confident that Mac is the type of guy that can really reach deep and pull out some crazy tech with this little asshole.
I'd like
I
to.
think that's about it. Yeah.
I'd like to butt heads with you a little bit here on the Regieleki particularly. At least in terms of hazard control, I think Regieleki is like a really good spinner, especially for this team, like at getting those hazards off the field. Because Regieleki, I mean, we all know it forces the ground type to come in, and that just means it gets a free spin unless your opponent's ground types are Golurk or Palossand, which I don't think anyone drafted. So like in terms of getting spins, Aleki's going to be really good. Also, if you're forcing your opponent to go to their ground type, that's exploitable by guys like Hydrapple if you're a Terra that's not weak to ground, Thunderous in some instances, and Azelf in other instances. Like forcing the ground to come in is exploitable, and it also means you get the free spins. And this team kind of likes keeping the grounds predictable. You know, like if the grounds aren't coming in unexpectedly, then they can handle them a lot better, I think.
Yeah,
also, inviting them in isn't good. Inviting them in isn't great, but like the devil.
Yeah, I see. To be honest, I'm probably just a Regieleki hater. It's no Regidrago. I'll give it that.
For sure. I think it's good at spinning and getting screens up, but that's about it. All right, with that, we can move on to our number 5 team, the Philadelphia Porygon Z's. Now, this team starts out like top 5, phenomenal. We have Iron Valiant, Iron Treads, Annihilate, Uxie, and Amoonguss. It wasn't originally Amoonguss. I think it was Shaman before, which I think personally I like better on this team just for Healing Wish, for like Ape and Valiant. But this team halfway through the draft, Jarv decided, you know what, I want to do Rain. And so he instantly pivoted to Barraskewda, Pelipper, Overquill. And in my opinion, I think Metal mentioned it before, Rain isn't a play style you can just dip your toes in and expect to do well in. It needs a lot of pieces to do well. And now your quote-unquote Rain team has half the slots doing nothing for Rain. That could be going towards Rain support. And then on the contrary, on your Valiant half of the team, half the slots are going towards something that have an entirely different game plan. So like you have two sides of the team that are like actively pulling away from each other. And fun fact, Jarv actually just made transactions regarding this team before we had recorded this. We didn't have time to change anything, so the team has dropped the Rain. But this version of the team, it's top half still because like Valiant Treads Ape Uxie is friggin' impossible to prep for. And honestly will carry games on its own. But honestly, I think this team, like it's solid. Like the offense is probably almost unmatched in the division. Like Valiant, Ape, Terra Barraskewda, Volcanion, and Overquill. Like Overquill's offense because Rain is here, right? So that's like really impossible for any team to stop. And then you have like the insane facilitation of Uxie and Treads. and all of a sudden this team is like really freaking annoying. The team is like a little weak to like flying. Like if Treads ever gets chipped, anything with Hurricane on the other team, especially if Rain is up, just kind of runs shop on this team. You have double fightings, so that's weak to it. Amoonguss, your main bulk guy, is weak to it. Yuxi, which can't really do anything back to them. It can click T-Wave, I guess. And then like really flying types are kind of picking this apart as it is right now. But like yeah, really once this team changes, like just drops the rating, it gets like 10 times better. Probably top 3 in the division, easy, maybe from top 2. What do you think, Metal?
Yeah. Like that top 4 is like insanely good. I think Uxie supports and facilitates the offense of those 3 in particular like super well. Like my biggest issue with it was the weaknesses it has defensive. Like Rain obviously boosts Barraskewda. It boosts the Overquill, it boosts the Volcanion. Like that Rain pieces obviously, but the pieces on the team that aren't Rain actually do get like quite hindered by it. Annihilate, Iron Valiant, both weak to Hurricane. Treads is going to be forced to keep swapping into like 100% accurate Hurricanes. The team is incredibly ice weak. Like Barraskewda isn't a resistance to anything pretty much. Volcanion's a Terra Captain, but it's holding the team on its back in regards to like stopping it from melting to ice spam. So like the moment Volcanion Terras into anything that's not fire or water, or even if it does Terra into like just water, so it loses the quad resistance, then like ice type's just gonna have an absolute field day. Whether it's ice type Terrazoids, like fast ice mons like Weavile, especially mons like Weavile that can like knock it coming in, like take away its boots and things like that. I think with the trades he's made, like this team can absolutely like be considered like a top 3 contender. I think the rain does add like an extra dimension to it, but it does feel a little bit hodgepodge on it. I feel like just as much as the rain gives it, it also takes away, and that kind of stops it from being any higher to me. I think that top 4, like even the Amoonguss, I think are like just insanely good. I think it's hard to really go wrong with those. But other than that, yeah, it's like the rain giveth and the rain taketh away. Job, was it worth doing that to Big Dave? Was it really worth it? Looking at her, you'll know the answer.
It was absolutely worth it. Anyways, I think with that we can move on to our number 4 team, the Syracuse Snorlaxes. Now, this is a snow team, and it's really a snow team. It saw snow and decided I want to go all in on it. I got Glowking and Alolan Ninetales, and then I got Kyurem, and I got Satitan, and I got Thunders, which can weather ball stuff. And I don't really understand what Tusk is doing on the snow team. But like, okay, I do. I take it back. It spins. Keeps rocks off for everything because it's the best spinner around. But I feel like maybe that's not something we want to dedicate our round 1 pick to, especially if we can't guarantee stuff like Glowking's going to make it back to us. So in PBO, Glowking goes a lot earlier than other places in my experience, but he was fortunate in getting it, so I'm not going to like judge the draft order too harshly. But this team is it's threatening. Tusk under Veil, if you're like booster speed, bulk up, it's going to be insanely hard to stop. Glowking gets free pivots into Kyurem, which we know Kyurem is a demon. The guy's a monster. Thunderous, I think the only real synergy it has is like the weather ball stuff. It can do bulky double dancer, like even just like one setup move in Veil, and it's like okay at that. Scizor's like the token steel type clicking pivot move. Sinistra does a lot with its base typing here, but I think Titan is like the real focal point of the team here in terms of like cleaning, because it's clear like the main idea is just click belly drum, click Terra, Electric, or Ground, probably Ground most of the time, and just clean up a slightly weakened team. Alolan Ninetales is just here for Veil, because like Glowking, in my opinion, is a better snow setter anyways. And then Vaporeon is here as token Bulky Water. Hisuian Quillfish is here as token Dark type, Spike setter, stuff like that. Like it's all pretty standard, and that's kind of what makes it good. I would say though, you really, really don't need double snow setters. Like I think I had this discussion with him. He said he doesn't really consider Glowking a snow setter, but like it's better and more reliable at getting up snow than Alolan Ninetales is. That guy's 100% a snow setter, even if he's not getting Veil up. So in my opinion, you don't really need the Alolan Ninetales. But if you drop it, you might want to back up Fairy. Scizor can't really do the Eat Dragon moves stuff all on its own, and Glowking, like Glowking is fat especially, but it can't take every Draco Meteor. So if you drop the Ninetales, you're kind of weak to that. So like maybe that's a reason to keep it around, but I don't know. I think surely there's better stuff you could have than Alolan Ninetales. Because like if Glowking's here, you want that to be setting up snow, because if you have Glowking and Alolan Ninetales on your team for a game, that's like 2 utility guys, and it's 1 less of your offense guys. I think this team could maybe benefit from a bit more balls to the wall offense, like maybe drop the Sinistra for something more offensive. You don't need to, honestly. Like this is nitpicking at this point. Like when I think of Snow, I think of balls to the wall blitz offense, and Sinistra just doesn't really fit that bill, in my opinion. But like it could still be, it's still perfectly serviceable. Like overall, this team is it's definitely going to win games on its own. I think Tusk Under Veil is going to win games on its own. If it were Terra, it like might even do it even easier. But you really don't need it when you have like Terra's Titan and Terra Thunderous on your roster. Yeah, like overall, this team is it's gonna get a lot of sweeps. What do you think, Metal?
I really like to see. On one hand, I kind of agree with you about the Alolan Ninetales not being really necessary. But on the other hand, I think Aurora Veil with Kyurem and Great Tusk is insanely strong. You pair that with like a Terrace Titan that can belly drum. I think this team has like a lot of like demonic sweeping potential. If anything, I'd say the main things I don't like, I'd like to get rid of is like the Vaporeon. And I'd probably put some of the points on Vaporeon towards terroring the Sinistra. So then you've got like 2 really good digging your heels like setup mons in like Great Tusk on the physical side and Sinistra on the special side to just like come in and behind Aurora Veils and then just set themselves up into unlosable positions. The team is kind of very weak to flying type. It kills flying types very easily, but its only real resistance to flying, to Hurricane Spam, is Thunderous. I think that's going to be pretty nasty, especially when one of your mons is Great Tusk. And Great Tusk is going to be forced to run Stone Edge or Ice Spinner almost every week against anything that has like a remotely competent flying type or flying type Terra. Which Great Tusk on setup sets, you really want to be running like its high BP moves like EQ and Close Combat and Headlong Rush. But outside of that, there's not that much to say. I really like Thunderous Incarnate as a Terra Captain. I think that thing is like, it's a high skill ceiling mon, but I think can absolutely pull its weight. And obviously with Ice typing being one of its preferred Terra types to kill grounds, just pairing it again with Snow for that defense boost is really nice. And then for like the hazard side, you've got Hisuian Quillfish. Like that thing comes in, it doesn't die, it gets up its spikes, and then it leaves. That's what it does. It's really good at that. And it pairs really well with Sinistra in terms of like its defensive combination. You can bring it in, get your spikes up, the Rapid Spinner comes in on it, you just go out into your Sinistra. I think, yeah, this is really not much to say. Kyurem like kind of bridges the gap between Sinistra and Great Tusk. If you put the Terra on the Sinistra, where it can like, whichever one you're not bringing, like if you're not trying to win a game with Sinistra, you can bring Kyurem, like the the physical breaking, so Tusk can play Sweeper later, or if you're trying to win it with Sinister and running a more supportive role with Tusk, a more breaking role with Tusk, you can run a more special breaking role with Curium to set Sinister up later on. And then Fundy spamming T-Waves everywhere, making stuff slower than Great Tusk just naturally without Tusk having to get a spin-off is insanely good. The one very, very huge kind of crippling weakness, I think, is the team is very, very slow at base. It's only got Thunderous, which is like a 111 speed. What is it? Is it Ninetales like 109 or something?
It's either 109 or 108.
It's something like that. But outside of those two mons, like, your speed control comes from Scizor, Bullet Punch, and like Titan when snow is up. But other than that, like, the Vaporeon is the only mon on this team I really, really don't like. But I do kind of see why it's there. It's just kind of a fat pivot with wish support. But other than that, I think this team is like, I think it well deserves the number 4 spot. The fact it's a weather kind of forces it naturally into a bit of a one-dimensional playstyle. Teams are gonna know what to expect when they go up against this team. So we can't really put it any higher than this, but like, for what it is, for a snow team, I think it looks really, really good.
All right, with that, we can move on to our number 3 team, the Pokerangers. Now, this team, from what I understand, Roaring Moon wasn't the original round 1 pick. It was going to be Palafin, and it got taken right before it was his turn to pick. So he just went with Roaring Moon, which I think is like not a super great round 1 pick. But the rest of the team, like, Roaring Moon's good. Like, don't get me, I'm not gonna like take off that many points for that. And then the rest of the team just makes up for that like 10 times over. Like, Terra Quaquaval, I think, is one of the stronger Terra captains in the format. Not the strongest, mind you, but I think it's up there. Ursaluna Bloodmoon is a fantastic breaker for that Quaquaval, which wants to be ending games with Aqua Steps and Moxie boosts and not doing as much breaking. Golden Go is great support for it because it's good at getting screens up, good at spreading T waves, basically just getting Quaquaval the free turns that it really wants. Moltres is a good pivot. It invites in like rock types and stuff like that, and like some ground types that it can U-turn on and go right into Quaquaval. Basically, what I'm trying to get at here is this whole team is like built around Quaquaval right now. Like that's what it's built around, and I think it does that really well, which I'm very jealous of because I want a Quaquaval for myself. But that's whatever. I think Azumarill is really strong as a fairy type. I think it's underappreciated. It's really, really solid in my opinion at just coming in and almost going 2 for 1 every game. Its Aqua Jets are really strong and really hard for like some of the more frail offensive cores that we're seeing nowadays. It's really hard for those cores to handle. Mesprit is another great support for Quaquaval, a lot like Golden Go does, but what it does here is it allows Golden Go to do other things if Mesprit wants to come that week. Like, so now Golden Go can do Nasty Plot, Scarf stuff. It can even do specs if it wants to. Just really anything Golden Go wants to do that isn't supporting Quaquaval, Mesprit takes some of that load off. And then Swalot and Quilladin are just like, it's filling out your 9th and 10th slots. It's what you do in Paldex. You draft top heavy, you grab a couple of shitters at the bottom, and for what it's worth, these are really good shitters. Swalot brings a lot of value to teams. They can click Yawn, it can click T-Wave, it gets all the coverage in the world for whatever reason. It gets Earthquake, Ice Beam. I think it gets Sword Stance too. So like, it can be a legit offensive threat and like chip things down for other members of your team. Roaring Moon's a really nice pivot, and like the anti-fairy options for it are Golden Go and Moltres, which are really strong anti-fairy options. There are very few fairies that beat either, much less both of them. So Roaring Moon really has nothing to worry about on that front. Sandy Shocks is good utility for this team. It's Terra, and so is Golden Go, but honestly, with the way this team is structured, I can't imagine they'll be Terraing often, if ever, because the utility they bring for the rest of the team, I think, is going to be too valuable often, like in most games. The hazard removal is mono rapid spin on Quaquaval, which I think is a little unfortunate because Terra Quaquaval often has better things to do than click rapid spin, even though it absolutely can click spin in a lot of games. Like this team gives it enough free turns where it can fit that on its move slot if it wants to, but I think it's not going to want to very often. I think Sandy Shocks being the only spike setter is a little unfortunate in terms of taking advantage of Golden Ghost spin blocking abilities. But Sandy Shocks, it's a good spike setter. I only say I only like take off points for it because often I think Sandy Shocks likes doing other things than spike setting, but it's still perfectly fine at setting them when it wants to. I do like pairing the Shocks with the Bloodmoon though, because I Bloodmoon I think really likes having that backup ground just to because it can't do the utility things that most grounds want to do, so having that is really nice. Overall, this team I think is really strong. It's got a lot of it's just offense balls to the wall, win the game quickly or don't win at all really, which is probably the best team style in Paldex right now. So this team, it's definitely going to make it to playoffs, not a doubt in my mind. But I don't know. I think it's going to have if opponents are able to slow it down at all, kill its momentum for even a second, I think it's going to be kind of easy for opponents to snowball sometimes. But honestly, that's the only real weakness I see with this team here. What do you think, Metal?
I think how well people. I think what you see with this team is exactly what you get. I think the game plan that this team is built around is very, very obvious, and I think how well other players do against it is going to come entirely down to how well they know how to play around screens blocking by Goldengo. The Roaring Moon seems like a weird first pick until you look at the free mons that come afterwards, and then it's your third eye opens and you realize, oh, this team is just going for. It's going to take the Mesprit, it's going to click double screens, it's going to block screen breaking with Goldengo, and then it's going to break open with Bloodmoon or Quaquaval. And then it's going to Healing Wish with Mesprit again, and it's going to bring them back in for the clean. This team is full on screen pilled. And I kind of like it. You've even got the Moltres to punish Scarfed U-turners on Roaring Moon and Mesprit. This is not really much to say. I think Quilladin does get spikes right.
Yeah, it does.
It does.
Forgot about that.
So, but obviously Quilladin is not going to every game. So for most of the time, the Sandy Shocks is going to be the primary spiker. I think Terra Sandy Shocks is surprisingly underrated. As somebody who has been absolutely bodied by a terrifying body press Sandy Shock set before, I think it has a lot of kind of untapped Terra potential that people just aren't going to be ready for. They're going to see the Quaquaval and they're going to hyper focus on it, and then Sandy Shocks is going to bring something goofy and completely run a matchup. But I think when you look at this team, you know exactly what's going to come to a game. You know exactly what you're going to have to deal with, and it's going to be incredibly hard to prep for, just because of how tightly the team is built around that one thing. It's built with a game plan in mind, and the entire team functions around that game plan. Structurally, I think this team is one of is a contender for one of the best in the entire division. And obviously, it's rank 3, so it goes without saying. But yeah, this team it's nasty. I think with how many good fairy resistances you have, the Swalot really isn't necessary. But I see why it's there. It's just a grounded poison on top of being an extra fairy resist. What else are you gonna do with it, right? You're gonna do with those points. But yeah, screens the team. Have fun, Leo. I'm sure you're gonna get a lot of clean wins just off the back of screens Quaquaval.
Okay, and with that, I think we can move on to our number 2 team, which is the Charleston Chestnuts. That's me. I'm gonna take a back seat on this one and let Metal give you the rundown, and maybe I'll give a little bit of my own thoughts afterwards.
So, I think what I really like about this team is how just kind of offensively and defensively complete it is. The round 1 Darkrai is a little, you were wheel though, right? Weren't you?
Yeah, it was wheel.
Yeah, so like the round 1 Darkrai can be forgiven on wheel. I don't necessarily agree with it as like a round 1 pick as something to build a team around, but I think it works here. It's supported really well. Lando T is like obviously a very tried and true partner of Darkrai. Terra Mew is really, really good. I think the team. I think the Terra Mew is like kind of what holds this team together in terms of like its power level. Without that, it'd be like kind of middling. Tinkaton and Blastoise is just two like very like synergistic, supportive utility pieces. Blastoise can like it spins, it flip turns, it can run offense in a pinch thanks to Shell Smash. Tinkaton is Tinkaton. It cripples really, really nicely to open Mew and Darkrai up. And it's a Steel type without being weak to fighting, which Darkrai really, really appreciates. That means it can come in on Fairy moves for Darkrai without stacking the weaknesses that Darkrai brings to a team. Orgerpon T, my beloved. I think this thing enables Mew perfectly. It's normally people would say Orgerpon T is not a real speed tier, but like the Mew is clearly the central terra piece on this roster, so you have to account for the Orgerpon T's speed tier because it's just not going to be terroring most of the time. But then like, what about the time it does terror? You've got to be prepared for that as well. I think it's the perfect blend of utility and like a threatening presence that is like going to constantly be in the back of your opponent's mind. It's going to force some like really unfavorable choice scarfs on your opponent just because. And then Baxcalibur is Baxcalibur. It does like one thing well. And it does one thing, it does it really, really well. It like breaks open teams. It's perfect for Mew. The only real things I'm not that keen on, obviously, is the Gengar. I know you struggled with the Gengar a lot, if trying to find replacements for it, and in the end you just gave up because there wasn't really anything. And the Abomasnow is a little weird, but I kind of get why it's there. And then obviously base Rotom I think is just solid all around. I really, really love base Rotom. The only like issue I'd have is like you've stacked base Rotom with a Gengar, so like ghost types are going to be really, really good into you because this is basically Darkrai mono resist at the moment. But then obviously Darkrai is like a dark type that can actually eat ghost Shadow Balls, so it can abuse them somewhat. It's just not like the most ideal position. I think that's all I really have to say about the team. It's just really tightly packed the whole way through. It's a team. It's got a few different modes. It doesn't have any like glaring weaknesses. It doesn't have any glaring. It's got some like really super high strength. It's unpredictable. You've got like multiple things that can just clean up a game at the snap of a finger, and your opponent has a lot to account for. I don't know if that's what do you think about the team, but that's.
I mean, that was kind of what I was going for. Like when I was building the team, what I was thinking about was, once I had Darkrai, you kind of come to the realization that like its best set is like trying to spread sleep as much as possible. So I was trying to look for guys that like could take advantage of those free turns, and like Terra Mew is a prime example of that. Baxcalibur is a prime example of that. Blastoise can with Shell Smash would also bring a lot of utility to the team. Landers can provide It can force a lot of things out. It can click earthquakes and U-turns and really keep me in control of the game while things are asleep. And basically, once I had that, you just kind of grab your like Rotom Ghost is there for like dual status, which Mew can also like super take advantage of free turns. Like a lot how the last team was built around the Terracoquavel. This one, like you pointed out, is really built around the Mew. That's the one holding it all together. And so a lot of the guys on the team are built around giving that Terra Mew free turns to set up to wreak havoc or just kill things with like expert belt Terrafire, like flamethrower, stuff like that, like steals that want to come in on it or whatever. Stuff like that. So like Tinkaton does that by giving encores, and then like Gengar can also encore. Rotom dual status, Landorus clicks U-turn and gets things in when they don't gets my guys in against guys that the opponent doesn't want to be in against. Darkrai gets sleep turns. Baxcalibur takes advantage of a lot of that support. The Abomasnow, like while it does seem weird, I agree it is weird. It's also like one of the only screen setters I can use. Like Tinkaton can be a screen setter, but it has better things to do like every time. Mew is going to be the recipient of screens almost every time. Rotom can do it, but Abomasnow has like the semi-unique ability of also benefiting Baxcalibur. Like if I didn't have the Baxcalibur, the Abomasnow probably wouldn't be on the team. But it's there. So like in a matchup where Baxcalibur looks particularly oppressive, maybe I'll get an Abomasnow, throw off a Veil, and end the game with Bax. But like it's like a 4-pointer. It's not coming every game. It's coming a couple times a season, if that. Yeah, basically, I think the team ended up like you said. It's going to operate really tightly, really smoothly because there's a lot of avenues I can go with any given matchup. Everything's kind of trying to patch up the weaknesses and give each other support without being too locked into one mode. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all I got about it.
Yeah, I think what I will say is like everything on the team, like even the Gengar, despite like being a Gengar, everything has a purpose, which is like something that can be said of all the teams that came before it.
Yeah. With that, I think we're going to move on to our number one team. And in my opinion, this was easily the number one team in the division. Like it's ahead above all the other teams, but it's not like so far above the way like Ravens team was last season or stuff like that. But the last team is going to be the Tokyo Teddy Ursas, Big Kuma. I think it's his second or third season in a row being at the top of the power rankings at the start. He just knows how to draft, man.
It's just, I mean, you just look at it, it's so clean.
Yeah, it is. Like, nothing particularly, like, stands out as one thing that it's built around, except for, like, you can argue Keldeo, but, like, Meowscarada isn't, like, a top guy that's trying to hog everything the way, like, Valiant is, or, like, Pult is oppressive in prep. Meow doesn't really do that. It's out here to, like, support everything else with knockoffs, U-turns. Sometimes it'll spike. It'll axle things. Just stuff like that. And Zapdos is really good at doing that kind of support too. Terra Keldeo is like a fantastic recipient of that kind of support that like those top two bring. Same with Dragonite. Like this team, it's a lot like how we were talking about mine. Like this team operates really, it's really tight. Like there's no glaring weaknesses. Maybe like looking at the first three, you see like wow, this is like just dies to Ice Beam or Freeze Dry, but then there's like Jirachi and then Thick Fat Mamoswine and then Incineroar, and like it just you see those weaknesses in the top guys, and you realize okay, like this team is top heavy, but what it's done is it's constructed itself in a way to where if you see a weakness with any of those top five in any given matchup, you can bring a sixth that'll patch that hole pretty effectively. Like Hatterene is really good as a Magic Bounce guy. Oh, it's not that great as a Magic Bounce guy, but it's a good Magic Bounce Pokemon. It's good with like Trick Room Life Orb or Calm Mind Draining Kiss, especially with Terra. Even though Keldeo is going to be Terra like most of the time, I think Hatterene has a niche or like a leg up over Keldeo in the cleanup aspect. Like Keldeo, I think is a far more effective breaker in like mid game breaker. But if a Terra Hatterene hits the field towards an end game, gets a Trick Room off or a Calm Mind off, like what do you do? It's kind of over. Like Hatterene's really strong in that regard. Mamoswine, everyone knows Mamoswine as like crazy unwallable stabs, but it's also a really good like lead facilitator for offense like this, because it's a stealth rocker that can't be taunted, it can't be intimidated, and it also gets endeavor. So if you get it down to a sash and it like endeavors you and you're like a slower lead, which is kind of uncommon nowadays, but it happens, then Mamoswine immediately gets its teammates off to a fantastic start. Muck is like the classic budget poison you grab. It clicks knockoff. It comes once a season. Incineroar is good. I like Incineroar a lot. Intimidate, U-turn, parting shot, knockoff. Did I say? I don't know if I said knockoff. It can click Will-O-Wisp. It can click Bulk Up. It can click Trailblaze. It can click Flame Charge. It can do a lot of stuff. It's got a lot of coverage in its bag too. Like, just because he's not insane like he is in VGC doesn't mean this guy's bottomless toolkit is just limited to VGC. I think Incineroar is like a really solid mid-low tier utility guy that people should explore it more often. I hope to see do a lot this season. Having your only spinner be Kamala is a little unfortunate, but I think it kind of works. It's kind of okay when your top 5 are like this and your 6th slot in any even game is pretty flexible. Also, like, Kamala is, as much as it's not fantastic, it's also definitely like real. Like, I recently lost to a Kamala. I'll never disrespect it blatantly again. It's a good spinner with an assault vest. It's pretty tanky and it gets a surprising amount of coverage and it has like sucker punch and stuff. Like, overall, there's not one particular thing this team does badly, and it kind of patches all of its holes well. Like, if there's one thing I would say, it's that like the only reliable special breaker is like Keldeo, because like Hattering's like slow or whatever, but even then the team has options. What do you think, Metal?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a really good blend of like utility and power all the way across the board. You got like Terra Keldeo and Dragonite supported by things like Meowscarada, and the Jirachi is like going to be hellish for people to deal with in prep. They like the Jirachi Healing Wish has 2 of like the best Healing Wish recipients in Dragonite and Keldeo. Like a bulky Keldeo flicking Carmine, throwing out Terra Water Surfs until it's forced out, only to come back in later after getting like a Healing Wish, is gonna be like nasty. And then you've got the Zapdos is just generally a good like kind of utility piece. It's got some screen. It's good pivoting. It's got recovery. It can come in on like a variety of situations to reset game state and pivot out. And it punishes like the Scarfers that like want to come in and take advantage of Meowscarada or Revenge Dragonite really, really well. It just spreads paras. And obviously, like, para spreading is really, really good for Mamoswine. It leaves a lot of like faster mons just completely at Mamo's mercy. The only iffy thing, again, like you said, is the Kamala being the only like really reliable removal. Hatchering can magic bounce, but like all it takes is one missed call on that, and the Hatterene is just like getting chunked. But like across the board, this team is like by far, I think, the most offensively and defensively and utility-wise complete. It's just a solid roster, man. It looks fun. It looks really fun to use. Is this like Kuma's 3rd season drafting Dragonite?
Something like that. And Jirachi, I think.
He loves those two.
And Jirachi.
But it has a bit of a hint of can you smell that? A bit of za.
Bit of
Za to the
Zah.
team.
Yeah, there's one very Za Pokemon on this roster.
But yeah.
Like
will say
normally I don't like Incineroar, but I think even like here Incineroar works really, really well. So he just comes in, it baits in like the fighting types or the water type, and then he just pivots straight out into the Keldeo or the Zapdos. Or even the Dragonite on flying type. It's just like the Incineroar is a really good playmaker of setting up. It like sets up for the roster really, really well. Especially with like Intimidate Parting Shot. Leaving ones like crippled on their offensive stats. It just provides like Meowscarada like opportunities to get in. Because Meowscarada can be like a surprisingly competent breaker it just has issues getting itself into break.
Before we wrap this up, word of advice. Okay. Mono Spinner Kamala and Magic Bounce Hatterene should tell you something about what item you should be running on your Dragonite every week, Kuma. Please.
Yeah, we don't want to see that again.
Don't forget this season. Don't forget that boots are an option for your multi-scale Dragonite. Don't forget.
Don't forget the Uggs.
All right, with that, I think we're about wrapped up with our Sunset Power Rankings.
But
thank you all for tuning in. Oh, but
yes,
never mind.
The winners of the season. You must put in your predictions.
Oh, we're putting in our predictions for a winner.
Yeah. Well, who do you think the two finalists, and who wins the finals?
Finalists are gonna be me and Kuma, and I'm gonna beat Kuma.
Oh, damn! Week 1 all over again.
I gotta have that self-confidence.
Metal, what do you got? Who do you got, Metal? And it can't be Lavs. He's not in here, but it can't be Lavs.
Can't be
Lavs.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna.
Fan of.
You know what? I'm gonna support the underdog. I'm gonna say finals is gonna be Kuma versus Little Rock Diancies.
Damn. Okay.
And Little Rock Diancies
it was my prediction before the season began. I've got to stick with it. I've got to stick to my guns.
I respect it. I hope she does well.
And you think Little Rock wins it, right?
I think Kuma wins it, but I think Little Rocks is in finals.
It's disrespect. I think if finals is Little Rock versus Kuma, I think Little Rock clears. I have faith. The vibes can't be beaten.
You know
also,
what,
Kuma's team kind of falls through our
the,
trap, I think.
You know what? I'll trust the vibes. I'm going to say Little Rock to take it all.
Good man.
It's always tough choosing between Don and Kuma. But I do think it'll be either Don and Kuma versus Lion City Leech Life. But I think Don or Kuma will beat Lion City Leech Life in said finals. And that's my cop-out answer. That's my cop-out answer. It's gotta be one of you this season. It's overdue.
Surely this season.
It's overdue.
Surely.
It's overdue.
Just watch Leo come in and win it all.
It can't be Leo and Kuma. It can't be Leo and Kuma. It can't be a 1-2 finish.
Anything about that. Anything about that.
1-2 finish. With that being said, any closing statements, or are y'all good? Are we good?
Draft Iron Crown.
Okay.
Yeah, draft Iron Crown. And honestly, like the teams were really all solid this season. Like even if you see your team in like the lower end, it's not because we thought your team was bad, because we thought the other ones were just a little bit better, you know? That's all I got.
All right, well, everybody, you heard it here first. Metal, one more thing?
So, if you dislike how low your team is, I personally place you there because I personally don't like you. You personally, I put you there.
These are your div moderators.
Please direct them to Leo.
Yeah, please direct them to Leo. My DMs
are
closed.
All complaints to Leo.
My DMs are closed. Don DMs are closed. Some boys DMs are closed.
That's right.
So yeah, we're out of here. It's all the PRs are done. You can stop yelling at me in DMs. You can stop it. You can stop DMing me about them.